Hare Krishna. I'm going to speak on a very important topic today, which in my personal life I learnt after many years. I wish I learned this topic in my very early stage of my life, so I would have saved myself from so many mistakes and offenses. This topic is rising above neophyte behavior. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Maharaj Nimi is asking some questions about the symptoms of a devotee. Who is a neophyte devotee? Who is a second class devotee? And who is a first class devotee? So which means neophyte devotee is a third class devotee. So just like in a train we have the lower berth, the middle berth and the upper berth, isn't it? So neophyte devotee is like the lower berth, and there is a middle berth and there is upper berth. So three types of devotees, and to put it briefly, in answer they say this: a neophyte devotee is one who goes to the temple and he worships the Lord with great attraction, but he does not know how to distinguish between a non-devotee and a devotee. And the second class devotee, he says, or a middle class devotee, Madhyama, he knows four things: Ishware tadadineshu balisheshu dvishatsucha prema maitri krupopeksha yah karoti samadhyamaha. He says that he knows that the Lord is the object of everybody's love, and the devotees are very dear to his heart because they lead him to Lord, and those who are innocent and non-blasphemous, innocent means not just innocent but non-blasphemous and non-envious of Lord, for them he preaches to them, he convinces them and he brings them closer to Krishna. And those who are envious of the Lord, dveshis, he keeps a long distance from them, so that he will not get contaminated by their association and he will not develop hatred for them in his heart. And we will come to this point, why one should not develop any hatred for any living being. We will talk about that eventually. So to avoid developing hatred for certain living entities and to avoid becoming contaminated and polluted by their association, what he does? He keeps distance from the dveshis. So this is middle class devotee. Then the first class devotee, Uttama Bhagavat, Sarva Bhuteshu Yah Pashyet, Bhagavat Bhavam Atmani. He says that he sees the super soul in the heart of every living being, accompanied, that means he sees every living being accompanied by the Lord, and the whole creation connected to the Lord also. Which means he sees that there is not even a single atom where the Lord is not present. And there is not any living entity which is wandering alone. Every living entity is accompanied by Krishna in the form of Super Soul. And he sees that the whole creation is resting on Krishna also, like the pearls are strung around in a thread, nylon thread or whatever. So he knows that nothing in this creation moves or acts without the Lord sanctioning it. So good or bad, whatever happens in this world is ultimately sanctioned by the Lord. Or without the Lord empowering it, it cannot happen. Either Lord empowers activities directly or through the Maya, Shakti. So everything in this world is happening under the supreme witness of Krishna's eyes, Maya Adyakshena Prakriti. So he says like that. So these are three types of devotees mentioned in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now every living entity is potentially divine. Actually nobody can be labeled as bad in this world. Everybody is potentially divine. But they can become covered over. They can become covered over by some bad quality, some mala that may cover them up. Just like the example is given of the raindrop. When it comes down, when it touches red sand, it becomes reddish. It touches black sand, it becomes blackish. Like it becomes a muddy pool of water sometimes, although it is pure when it is coming down. So the living entity is pure, but it becomes covered over by some impurity. But while getting covered over, there is one very important thing that becomes hidden in a living being. That is the avesh, or the attraction for Krishna that he has in his heart. That becomes practically hidden. Like you see the red hot coal is so hot, but when it is covered by ashes, you can't see the heat at all. It is as if it is cold. It becomes covered over. So, in everybody's heart, the vague, the attraction for Krishna is very prominent. Just like we find when Krishna tells his friends in Vrindavan, my dear friends, see this beautiful Yamuna flowing with so many nice lotuses and lilies in that. And the lotuses are so fragrant. And the bumblebees, having smelled the fragrance, they are coming and hovering over the lotuses. They are making sounds very beautifully. And just behind you see the forest of Vrindavan with Kadamba trees is so thick and laden with fruits, and the birds are chirping and making sweet sounds. And because of the trees, there is such a beautiful shade. The sun is not producing any heat. We are all very comfortable. And see the sand, how it is so fine and soft, like Johnson & Johnson baby powder, isn't it? It is such a beautiful place to sit. And for our cows and calves also, there are lushy green grasses nearby. So they can eat their grass, and if they are thirsty, they can drink water in the Yamuna. And we also, if you want to wash hands, you can wash hands in Yamuna, and we can drink water. Yeah, all conveniences are in the neighborhood. Unlike, when you are sitting in a dining table in a room, you are wearing shoes on and socks on, and you have a spoon and fork and everything. It's not a very comfortable thing to eat also. You are not very comfortable. And also if you want water, you have to bring water from the kitchen and keep it in a tumbler or something, isn't it? Whereas Krishna said, see our situation, how comfortable we are. Very happy, let us eat in this place. And you see all the covered boys, they are opening the lunch packets, sitting around Krishna like the petals arranged around the lotus. And everybody is very eager to see Krishna and share whatever item they have brought with Krishna. They are taking out and giving. Somebody is giving rava laddu, somebody is giving besan laddu. They have brought different things they want to share with him. So first they eat and they say, oh, how delicious this is. And the Krishna says, which item are you talking about? Show me. And there's this one, he says, can I have it? But he says, I have very little, I have only this much. And Krishna says, still give me a little, he says. Then the coward boy says, okay, I'll give it to you completely, but provided you don't leave a trace of it. You have to eat everything. And then Krishna accepts and he eats it and says, yeah, what you said is true, it's very delicious. So in this way, everybody is eager to feed Krishna. And it is said, while tasting the food more than the tasty food, their love for Krishna was more prominent. Which means they were remembering Krishna more than the eating habit. How Krishna is appreciating which item. So their eyes were all fixed on Krishna, it is said. So, when devatas were watching from the sky, they were all talking amongst themselves. Hey, just see, the Brahmanas many times give an asana for the deities to sit. Idam asanam they give. And then the idam mukha prakshalanam. Like you will see for Vitthal also they do that. In Pandharpur you will see. There's a song about mukha prakshalan, and then asanam, then pushpam, then gandham, everything. Similarly, bhog also they offer finally, or madhupakar, whatever. So sometimes the Brahmanas offer these things with great sincerity, and they are very clean. They do mantram, they do tantram, they do mudra, they do kriya, all these things they do. With all these things they invoke the presence of the Lord, and Lord may or may not come. Because sometimes such a formal worship of a Brahmana may not be so attractive for the Lord, the Devatas are saying. But these boys, who are mere covered boys, were tending to the calves and cows in the forest, and just see how they are eating something and they are feeding the juta to Lord. And the Lord is also eating it. How amazing it is, they were discussing like that. And this is because of love. And that love is what we are talking about now. If somebody does something with love, it cannot be denied. It is immediately accepted. Somebody offers something with love. Like I was telling, one life member man comes to our temple, one little hefty man. He comes for Mangalarti. Probably he's the only one who comes. In front of the deities he would be dancing very beautifully. So I know him since 95, 96, the days I came, early days here. So he has a son, Lakshmikant, very nice family. So he is very fond of me since the early days. So when he would come, sometimes he would catch my hand and touch to his head, although I would refuse, But sometimes he would touch to his head and also give a kiss in my hand. So yesterday morning when he gave a kiss, some of his saliva came on my hand, So naturally if somebody's saliva comes in your hand, you feel uneasy. But it is very difficult to scold them. Do you know why? It is done out of love. Is it not true? Yeah. Sometimes even if you commit mistakes, even if there are mistakes, there is a saying in English, all is fair in love and war. You know this? All is fair in love and war. That is it. So, although you may wipe away this saliva thinking that what is this, you go and wash your hand and come, but still, because he is doing with sincerity, he has no malicious intent in the heart. So then we are ready to tolerate. In the same manner, there is love in the heart of the living entities for Krishna. And Uttamadhikari means one who can have an X-ray vision to see through all the mistakes and and the blemishes, kalmash covering the living entity. He can see through and see that particular spark. What is it? That love for Krishna. Because he sees that love for Krishna, he can ignore everything else. So, I was telling about covered boys, they can call Krishna's name with love. And they can, some of them call Krishna as, hey Kanu, Balu, they call. Some of them call Kanai, Balai. Some of them are calling Kana. So they may call Krishna with nicknames, and they may call with a heart full of love at every moment. And they have no other goal of life other than to please Krishna. It is said sometimes in the middle of the night they get up, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, they rush to Nanda Bhavan, calling, hey Krishna, come, let's go for herding the cows today again. And Yashoda will shout at them, hey, is it the time to go for herding cows? It's middle of the night, go back. Go back and rest now. So much love they had. So, we also have that kind of love, but it has become covered over. Because of which, when we come to the material world, we don't even know we have such a love. After many, many millions of lifetimes of wandering, we come across a Sadguru, and the Guru awakens our attraction. And by the order of Guru, we start practicing Vaidhi Bhakti. What we are all practicing is called what? Vaidhi Bhakti. Vaidhi means, it comes from the word Vidhi. Vidhi means rules and regulations. Like the Pancharatriki Vidhi, with which you worship the deities, it teaches us how not to forget Krishna at every moment. But the Bhagavad Vidhi teaches us how to remember Krishna. For example, if you read these pastimes which I told you now, coward boys and Krishna eating in the bank of the Yamuna, it is so sweet pastime it is. It increases our fondness for Krishna, remembrance of Krishna. And the Pancharatrika Vidhi teaches us, don't forget this, while making Aarti plate, don't forget the KUNJ, don't forget the Achaman Patra, don't forget the bell, remember to keep them, and remember to be punctual, don't neglect, remember cleanliness, that should be spick and span, everything, neat and clean. So a lot of rituals are there. These rituals, the purpose of these rituals, you have to rotate a particular number of times. And when you have to rotate particular number of times, you are very attentive. Instead of 7, it shouldn't become 12 or 14. People may be observing. So you cannot be forgetful while rotating. So attention, cleanliness, punctuality, meticulously offering our services, and performing the laborious rituals. Prabhupada uses the word laborious. And all these things are done. Why? With a desire to gradually increase our dutiful remembrance of Krishna. We dutifully remember Krishna in this way. Like for example, if you have to offer bhog at a certain time, you remember, I have to offer bhog, it's my duty. Or I have to get up early in the morning for Mangalarti. So we dutifully get up, dutifully take bath, and dutifully come and give ajar, presents to the deities. We do like that. At the same time, what will happen to us by doing this? The Shastras promise. When you do Vaidhi Bhakti regularly, sincerely, very attentively, by following the order of Guru, although we don't feel so much love for Krishna, we may not feel so much attraction to do these activities in the beginning. Like, Prabhupada says, summer heat and, summer kitchen and cold winter, isn't it? He's saying, in the summer kitchen, no mother would want to cook in the kitchen, still she does it. Because she has to tolerate it. Because it is ultimately for the happiness of the family members. Similarly, for the happiness of Guru, the disciple agrees to chant. For the happiness of Guru, the disciple agrees to get up in the morning from the bed, take a bath and come. For the happiness of Guru, he is willing to wear dhoti, kurta and come. Because you have somebody in your life whom you want to please. In spiritual life, who is the person you are trying to please? The spiritual master. For his pleasure we do these activities. Now we may raise the arms and dance, but we don't feel ecstasy. But sometimes feel ecstasy, sometimes we may not feel. But still we do it. It's called a Sankhya Purva Namagana Natibi. So we do these activities in a regulated way in order to awaken our attraction for Krishna. We keep doing it. And as the Vaidhi Bhakti matures up, your Sukruti keeps increasing, a time comes when it turns into Raganuga Bhakti. Vaidhi turns into Raganuga, then subsequently Bhav, and then Prem. So, for the Vaidhi to turn into Raganuga, how will it turn? For that we have to have greed. Greed for attaining Krishna. So Vaidhi plus greed equal to Raganuga. And Raganuga plus greed equal to Bhav. Bhav plus greed equal to Prem. So what is to be added to all these things is only greed, called Laulyam. Tatra Laulyam apiyekala mulyam. Janma koti sukritirna labhyate. Even if one does kotana koti bhautik punya, material punya, he cannot get this greed. But if one can somehow or other purchase this greed from a pure Shuddha Vaishnava who has it in his heart, then this greed can also cling to us. It may brush in our heart also a little bit of it. And then once you get a little bit of it, then you can grow it more and grow it more and more and more and more. Like that. So, devotee should be very smart not to allow this Krishna Avesh in our heart to get choked, to get stunted, to get blocked, or to not make any progress. And what are the things that choke the progress? One is, if you don't get association of advanced Vaishnavas, then this Krishna Avesh may not grow at all. It may be average. But if you associate with Vaishnavas who are very advanced, by hearing from them, associating with them, seeing their determination, seeing their conviction, seeing their devotion, seeing their fixity, seeing their unshakable stability in spiritual life, then we also develop a desire, I want to become a devotee like this. That eagerness comes, and that only turns into greed. And if you don't have that, then that type of greed doesn't develop. And another thing that stunts us or chokes our progress is what? The aparadha, or the offenses. Like, for example, say you are going in a car in the Pune, sometimes in the Pune roads, there are so many cars wanting to overtake one another. Is it not? Say you are going on a rainy day. Because of the rains, it's sort of blocking your vision. You are not able to see, you put the wiper. Similarly, in our life also, we have done sinful activities, due to which the sinful reactions are coming now. They block our vision, and we keep putting the wiper, and our speed becomes a little slowed down on a rainy day, isn't it? And Krishna also says, Yesham tu antagatam papam. If you have not eradicated your sinful reactions, they reduce your speed in spiritual life. That is why we follow the four regulative principles strictly. When we follow strictly, then we can advance more faster. So following regulative principles strictly means having a nice wiper to wipe out the water away. So you can clearly see. The road can be clearly seen. Now, Yesham ta antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam, he says. Punya karma actually is Shinvatam Sakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana. Hearing the Krishna Katha and speaking it and remembering it, that Navida Bhakti, that is actually Punya. That is actual Punya. Bhakti Unmukha Punya. So when you do the Bhakti Unmukha Punya, and when you avoid the sinful reactions, activities, then you make progress. But while progressing like that, there is one great danger. What is it? Sometimes you hit someone else's car because you are trying to tailgate. You know what is tailgating? Tailgating means trying to catch up, your car and trying to overtake it. Go behind the car. Sometimes you see car, like that they go. You've seen that? One behind another. This fellow is trying to overtake, that fellow doesn't allow. Isn't it? And sometimes there's a sudden break and the car hits and there's an accident. Or this fellow is overtaking, that fellow doesn't want to leave him, so he tries to block the way, then there is an accident. Similarly, when two devotees quarrel and there is an accident, and the accident is called Vaishnava Aparadha, they commit aparadha to one another, what happens? Immediately the traffic policeman gives a whistle. Isn't it? Dono car baaj mein karo. You've seen that? Immediately both cars are standing, sometimes for a couple of hours also. You know that? Yeah. So in spiritual life also, when we hit another devotee by Vaishnava Aparadha, when there is a clash between devotees, then the result is what? Then the bhakti may become stunted. Then at least when we are having sinful reactions, blocking your vision, still the progress was there, but it was minimal. But when aparadha happens, what is the result? It stops only. It's completely blocked. It becomes covered over. And how serious is this matter is explained by Rupa Goswami Pada. The Rupa Goswami Pada's pastime. One time Rupa Goswami was sitting and meditating on this wonderful pastime of, I was telling it in one of the classes before. Radharani is dressing herself and Krishna comes there and all the gopis are laughing and Krishna tells them not to laugh. And then Radharani looks at her face in the mirror. She sees a bluish person behind, and she feels so shy. And everybody laughs loudly now without any fear. So this scene was observed by Samadhi. of Rupa Goswami Pad, and Rupa Goswami laughed. He also laughed heartily. But when he laughed, Vaishnava was passing by who had a lame leg, who was a lame Vaishnava. He thought Rupa Goswami is laughing at me. He took the offense, and the result, immediately the Lila Spurti disappeared from Rupa Goswami's mind and it became blank, like a vacuum. Sometimes we chant Hare Krishna, we feel blank, isn't it? The blank is because of innumerable aparadhas we have committed in the Purva Janam. You see? Nama jata aparadhanam namanyeva harantyagam, it is said. All the aparadhas committed in the past, they can only be eradicated by repeatedly chanting the holy name with sincerity and with greed, transcendental greed. Eventually they will all be nullified. So he opened his eyes and he didn't know the reason. In the meantime, the Vaishnava went ahead to a kutir where Sanatana Goswami lived, and he said, Rupa Goswami is laughing at me. I never thought he could behave like this. He was a great Vaishnava. How he is laughing at me? And Sanatana said, impossible for Rupa Goswami to behave like this. And there may be some misunderstanding, let me see. So he closed his eyes in meditation and he tuned himself to the same station, Goloka station. And he saw the same pastime happening there. And he said, oh, now I know why is he laughing. And he told this to Vaishnava, and Vaishnava felt very bad. He said, really? How I have misunderstood Rupa Goswami? Then again he went back. And then he went back to Rupa Goswami's kutir and he offered obeisances there. He said, what a fallen soul I am. I misunderstood such a great soul like you. You laughed for a transcendental reason and I took it as mundane. And I misunderstood you. And he said, please forgive me. And Rupa Goswami also became agitated in the mind that this misunderstanding took place. See, whenever there's a misunderstanding with another devotee, our minds become agitated, uneasy. We feel some uneasiness. Rupa Goswami offered obeisances back saying that, I'm very sorry, I laughed at you, and although I laughed at something else, I made you misunderstand me. It was my mistake and carelessness. Then both of them immediately proceeded to the to the kutir of Sanatana Goswami and sat down and heard Krishna Katha for hours and hours. By hearing Krishna Katha for a long time, they became, just like in rain sometimes you become drenched. Like that you become drenched. In Krishna Katha, drowned in Krishna Katha, that will completely drive away all the disturbances of the mind and the agitation caused in the mind. They felt completely relieved and jolly after that. So, this Krishna Aveshar, Laulyam for Krishna should be very carefully preserved. It's very tender. We have a very tender creeper. We should preserve it and not let it eaten by goats, eaten by buffaloes, or stamped upon by elephants. So what are these things? That's why we have to put a fence around it. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rupa Goswami once that the Guru gives the Bhakti Lata bij, which you sow it underground, and then you water it every day by hearing and chanting. Every morning our hearing and chanting is considered to be what? Watering it. When you water it, the plant grows. It has to grow beyond the Brahma Jyoti and up to Golaka Vrindavan. There it will produce the Krishna Prem fruit. But before that Prem comes, when the plant is growing slowly, it's very tender. Sometimes there are violent winds which blow and may knock off the plant. Or sometimes when you don't put a fence, all the animals may come and eat. Elephant may come and stamp on it. That's called as Hatimata. Hatimata aparad means elephant. Actually there can be many aparadas. There is Seva aparad, Nama aparad, Dhama aparad, Vaishnava aparad. These are all different aparadas. But the Seva aparad means while doing your service sometimes you are ignorant. Due to ignorance, you commit some mistake which is generally tolerated by the Lord. But one should learn how not to commit offense. For example, somebody wants to cut sabji in the kitchen and they will go with tight jeans and t-shirt and they cut. Actually one should be wearing dhoti kurta, one should have taken a bath and one should cut like that, isn't it? Or, one doesn't wash the hands before rendering service to Lord, isn't it? So, sometimes one may commit aparadas, but those seva aparadas are not as serious as Vaishnava aparada. because they are done out of lack of knowledge. So it's tolerated. It's considered a smaller mistake. Similarly, dham aparad, while going to dham. Similarly, nam aparad, while chanting the holy names, you commit aparadhas also. So these aparadas, see, the word aparad comes from aparadha. Radha means Radharani. Aparad means that which takes us away from Radharani. They're called aparad. Radharani is our only shelter, and this takes us away from it. So one has to avoid aparadas. So aparadas lead to Radha Shunyata, it is said. Radha Shunyata means one is unable to see one's connection to Srimati Radharani, who is the supreme goddess of devotion. By her shelter only, we can be handed over to Krishna. So, now, I was speaking quite elaborately about this Krishna Avesh in the heart of living entities, which is seen by a Uttamadhikari Bhakta. That is why Uttamadhikari is said to be Anya Ninda Adi Shunyam Hridamepsita Sangalabdhya. Sangalabdhya means one should aspire for the achievement of the association of a Shuddha Vaishnava, whose heart has become free from the propensity to criticize. Anya, Ninda, Adi. Adi means many other qualities also. Adi Shunyam. For example, one quality is to criticize, blame, accuse, ridicule, mock at others, make fun of others. These are all bad qualities. Or duplicitous behavior, kutinati as we say, or indulging in prohibited behavior. So this is all there. All these things is free from all these things. And most prominently, the crest jewel quality is Anya Ninda Adi Shunyam. The crest jewel quality is he cannot criticize anyone. He cannot find fault with anyone. This is the quality of Uttamadhikari. One devotee in Mayapur was telling, the Uttamadhikari is like 24 karat gold. With 24 karat gold you cannot make ornaments. You know that? 24 karat gold is completely soft. It is very, very soft like butter. With butter can you make anything with a shape? Very, very soft butter. So it's like very, very... So this is like the Vishuddha Sattva platform becomes so pure and soft that is beyond goodness also. Even in the definition of prema, you will read that there is a verse which says about bhava and prema. The prema becomes so soft that the heart becomes very, very tender. Like Radha and Krishna sitting together in a bench in a park, and when they are talking to each other, suddenly, the Madhumangal comes and tells Krishna, Krishna, I have driven the Madhu away, he says. Actually, the Madhu is a bumblebee. It was coming and hovering. One thing is, it was making noise, going round and round Radha and Krishna like this. Another thing is, it's a very big bumblebee. It was causing little fear to Radharani. So Krishna told Madhumangal to drive it away, and he said, Krishna, Madhu has gone away. He said, immediately Radharani, what she thought? Madhu, another name of Krishna is Madhusudan, Madhu. So he is sometimes called as Madhu. So as soon as she heard the word Madhu has gone away, she thought Krishna is gone. Immediately there were tears coming in her eyes, torrents of tears. Oh, Krishna is gone. And Krishna said, oh, Radha, I am here. He said. But she couldn't hear his sound only. She was feeling as if Krishna is gone. So this prema is so soft in the heart of the devotees. Radharani is Mahabhav. But living entities are Bhav. This Bhav is so soft and tender that one constantly thinks of Krishna on one hand. On the other hand, one cannot think of anything else in others. How will you find any fault with anybody? Because one's absorption in Krishna is so great actually. Actually, when we can find fault with others, when our heart and mind are not busy in Krishna's pastimes, then only we become interested and inclined to pinpoint fault in other people. So this is a very advanced stage. So that devotee was telling that because the 24 karat gold is so soft and pure, you can't use it for making any ornaments. You have to mix it with some alloy, some brass, copper, Then it can become 22 carat, 20 carat, 18 carat, like that. Then you can make ornaments. Similarly, Prabhupada also said, a Uttamadhikari has to come down to Madhyamadhikari platform to distinguish between devotees and non-devotees and innocent and the Lord. 4 things, isn't it? He has to distinguish. And in order for a person to be able to distinguish between devotees and non-devotees and innocent people, and to see this kind of differences, Uttamadhikari has to come from Uttamadhikari stage to Madhyamadhikari stage, he said. And also to offer corrections to someone else, to find fault. Prabhupada said that we have to come to Madhyamadhikari stage. In Madhyamadhikari stage we see these things. But even a Madhyamadhikari knows the value of devotees over non-devotees. Who is a non-devotee? Who is a devotee? He knows his differences. So when he sees a devotee, actually as I told you, Kanishta means a neophyte, who doesn't know the value of devotees. He only knows the value of Lord. He's attracted to Lord because the Lord is all perfect. He is attracted. But when it comes to devotees, he doesn't know the value. So regarding that neophyteness, we are going to discuss today. So now begins the class now. What is the time? Actually, we planned that we will go between 6 to 7:30. It's all right now? Yeah. So one by one I'll take the items. The first one. Yeah. There is the first difference is this. Kanishthadikari is fixed on Archana. Whereas a very advanced devotee, his absorption is Bhajan. So the difference between Archana and Bhajan, Archana means you like we say, dotting the teeth and crossing the eyes. In English there is a idiom. You say that dotting the teeth and crossing the eyes means meticulously doing things. Like a perfectionist. You commit no mistakes. You are punctual. You are clean. Sometimes you see people wear such a clean dress. And you offer bhoga and you don't commit any mistakes in doing things. And gradually what happens, those who are perfectionists, they become proud of their perfection. Atmano bhakti darpataha, he says. Atmano bhakti darpataha means one considers one's devotion to be very great. I am a great devotee. Why? Because I am a strict adherent to the principles of devotional service. You see, sometimes boys say, Prabhu, the last 6 months I didn't get even one L also. Do you know? I did not come late even once for the morning program. You can check my attendance. By the way, for your information, I got my special prize also for my punctuality. So, in this way, gradually as one performs devotion service strictly, one becomes very proud. Anything that you do good, the next step is we become proud, and we also look around at people who are unable to do it, and we ridicule them and we find fault with them. Like there was one devotee somewhere, he made he was giving class about chanting Hare Krishna. So he was telling that, if during chanting, how can you sleep? You cannot sleep. It is such a great Mahaparad. So he said, we will keep a needle or something. If somebody is dozing and chanting, prick them with a needle, so that they can get up. And then he said, he had a group of people whom he was preaching to. And he told them, anybody is found to be dozing once, they have to pay 10 rupees fine. So every time you doze a little bit and you are woken up, you have to pay how much? Immediately 10 rupees. And then another time you doze, 10 more rupees. So then he said, after some time we will increase the fine from 10 to 50 rupees. So this kind of passionate observation of faults in others is not good. Because people are growing in the Krishna consciousness. And if one is proud of one's own chanting or one's own sadhana or once one waking up in the morning. Somebody gets up at 2 o'clock in the morning, and they go around asking everybody, what time you get up? What time you get up? And then he also gives them information. By the way, I get up at 2 o'clock. Prabhuji, I get up at 2 o'clock, Prabhu, every day. Please pray for me, Prabhu, Please give me your mercy, Prabhu. But I get up at 2, Prabhu, So, this kind of self-promotion, this arises from the pride. So, somebody may be strict in one's archana, but one may not be doing bhajan. What is the difference between bhajan? Archana is done out of duty, bhajan is done out of love. For example, the Brajbasis worshipped Indra out of duty, and they performed Govardhan Puja out of love. There's a big difference between the two. Krishna awakened love in their hearts, and because Krishna told them to do Govardhan Puja, they did it with great love. But worship of Indra, they did it out of sense of duty. Is it not true? Now, that is a very formal thing. Worship of Indra is a formal thing. Whereas fulfilling Krishna's desire, that was done out of love in their hearts, isn't it? So, Archana is generally done out of a formal duty, whereas Bhajan is done out of love. For example, Haridas Thakur is chanting the holy name. He is chanting out of love, for the pleasure of Krishna. Like that it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. You see? And there are many great Mahatmas, like Madhavendra Puri. Like one day King Kulashekara, he was sleeping in the morning, he didn't get up for Mangalarti. 1 hour passed away. And his ministers went and woke him up. My dear king, it is time for Mangalarti. Already time, Mangalarti is over. And he got up from his bed. Really? Today I couldn't get up, but let me tell you, Lord Krishna personally appeared, and he embraced me. And he spoke me continuously some verses, and he told them all to be put in writing. Please give me a pen and paper. Immediately he took it, and then immediately wrote everything that Krishna told him to write. And what was it? Mukundamala Stotram. That was it. So now he may not get up for the morning. Even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu didn't get up one morning in Jagannath Puri. You know that? And Govinda said, my dear Lord, it has become very late today. Then Mahaprabhu got up and he said, looked around, where am I? He asked, why did you wake me up? I saw Govardhan, hill on the top of which Krishna was standing with a flute. Surrounding him were so many cows and calves and his covered boyfriends. And below there were gopis at the bottom of the mountain, and they were watching Krishna playing on his flute. Now all the sight has disappeared. Why did you wake me up? And Mahaprabhu started crying. Like this. So these are people whose hearts are filled with prem. Now if they one day don't come for Mangalarti, but they are absorbed in Krishna like this, it's not considered a fault. But Kanishta may say, I never miss Mangalarti, I am in time. So I may be in time, but my heart is not filled with love. Of course, now we cannot do the same thing, saying that I got up late, because I had a Krishna dream. Krishna came, why did you wake me up? And asked like that. So we cannot imitate the behavior of Uttamadhikari. We have to be very prompt. We are not inspiring people to become less strict. We have to be strict, but we should not be proud of our strictness. So this was the first thing. Like you see, when Prabhupada took his American disciples to South India, and they were all chanting Hare Krishna. There in South India there is a class of people called Smartha Brahmanas. Smartha Brahmanas means the Shaivites. So they are very, very proud of their mantra uchara. They speak very spashta. And also they have the tones which they raise. Om Ganana Va Ganapatikam Havamahe. You heard that, no? Chant like this. Sahasrani Sahasrashoye Rudra Atibhumyam Teshagam Sahasrayo Jane Vatanmani Tanmasi. While telling, if you forget to go 2 times up, they will say, hey, you committed a mistake. You see, you went only once like this. And they have sharp ears, attentive, they'll catch you. So, I also come from Smartha Brown family, South India. So, me and Gauranga Prabhu, both of us come from such families. So, Smartas are Shaivites. So, they learn all this Uchcharan and everything. They pronounce Sanskrit very spashta, but they are very proud. Very proud of their own pronunciation and their incantation of the Vedic mantras. So, some of them met Prabhupada and said, Swamiji, your American disciples, they don't know proper pronunciation of the mantras. What are they chanting? Prabhupada said, but the renunciation is perfect. Prabhupada said, pronunciation may not be perfect. And then another occasion Prabhupada told them, yes, that is true. That is why we have come to South India to learn from you, by your association, how to chant the mantras properly. Like that Prabhupada said. Indirectly Prabhupada said, yes, we will associate with you and we will make you also Vaishnavas. That's what he meant actually. So, sometimes due to Kanishta tendency, Kanishta is proud of his pronunciation. Kanishta is proud that I have memorized all the verses of Bhagavad Gita. Like one devotee was brought by two other devotees on either side like bodyguards. They brought him to Prabhupada. Prabhupada, he has memorized all 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita. They said top to bottom, left to right. In any way you ask him a verse, he can tell. Here is a special great soul Mahatma has come. He is your disciple. Prabhupada was writing something. He just looked up and said, take him to kitchen and ask him to wash pots. Ask him to do something tangible. He said he didn't appreciate that memorization at all. Because Prabhupada thought this fellow is proud. So, memorizing verses due to knowledge of Sanskrit, these kind of things lead to pride. So the first one, Archana and Bhajana. The second point, a Kanishtadhikari is conscious of Krishna's presence only in the temple. You see, there are many visitors who come to our temple. Like I have been observing some of them for last 15 years. Same people. They come to temple. You see, probably they may come to a temple at a certain time, and they may be going to other Devatas temples also, I think. And when Aarti time comes, they will be before Aarti waiting, and the altar opens, they will clap hands. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then they clap hands. This clapping hands is going on last 15 years. And they are accumulating Sukriti, surely. There's no doubt about it. Because they are entering into Krishna's temple. They accept Charanamrit sometimes. At a particular time, Aarti time, they will come and go. But they don't meet any devotee. They don't learn chanting. They don't learn philosophy. They only do this. This is Kanishtadhikari. Why? Because they are only watching the deities. And they don't meet the devotees. They don't know the value of devotees. But the same people, if you see, when they go home, probably they may be watching Hindi movies. They may be reading cinema magazines. Or they may be purchasing these time pass magazines in the train and reading all dirty things. Is it not true? They do these things. Yeah. Because they think that is our private life. And when we come to temple, we should be very clean. And temple, they are very, very meticulous about things. How clean we should do. While going to temple, we should wear a clean dress. We should wash our feet when we enter the temple. We should make sure. And before accepting Charanamrit Prasad, we should wash our hands and then accept. In temple, they are very careful and very cautious and very clean. But outside, they think that is my private life. So they distinguish between inside the temple and other places. So they think Krishna is only in the temple for them. And other places they don't remember the Lord. That is meaning of Kanishta. You see. Yeah. They may be sometimes doing golmaal in business also. They may be unclean in money dealings. They may have unclean habits in terms of free mixing with women or something like that. They may have such kind of habits also. But when they come to temple, they think I should be very careful. Because Lord is there. And the altar opens, they are very respectful and offering obeisances and all that. You see. So, this is also a Kanishta tendency. Actually, Lord is there everywhere. Gaur Prasad Babaji, he was chanting Hare Krishna in a latrine which was stinking. Can you imagine? Can anybody chant Hare Krishna with attention there? In a latrine which is bad smelling. And why he was chanting in a latrine? Because so many materialistic people would come to disturb him. Babaji, Babaji, ye do, wo do, paisa do, bache do, ye do, like that they would be asking. And he got fed up with materialistic people. He said, I want to chant the holy name and these guys are spoiling all my time. Sometimes you would tell a materialist, come here. No? And then you would tell them, if you really want me to speak, you have to stay with me. Give up everything and just stay with me. And that fellow would come with gold chain, gold ring and everything. And he would say, give up all these things back and you stay with me. And that fellow would run away, take a boat and never come. And sometimes Gauri's Babaji would go to a Latin and sit there inside and just chant peacefully, because nobody would enter there to meet him. People would think, hey, this Babaji is living in such a dirty place, they won't go only. Can you imagine? Even there he could see Krishna. Can you imagine? When Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad, where is your Lord? What he said? My Lord is everywhere, in every atom. He saw the Lord everywhere. So we can see that is the meaning of Uttama Bhagavat. See, Uttama Bhagavat can see Krishna everywhere in his energies also. So, he says, the same mentality of Kanishthadhikari can be seen in Western countries where people do all sinful activities in their home and street, but piously go to church to pray for mercy. And in India also people, they eat meat, they chew tobacco, they watch pornography and quarrel with people, but in temple they worship the Lord. That is why the rules are made that in front of the deity you should not shout at anybody. And you should not show your feet, you should not show your back. And these things are said. Why? The more you come in front of the deities and practice these things, during the course of the day also you may be able to practice them. Sometimes what we do, we are in another room, there we quarrel with the devotee. And then we come to temple room and we are dancing very beautifully, very happily. Isn't it? In front of the deities. Because we think Krishna is here and Krishna is not there, in that place. You see? Yeah. So, this is actually neophyte tendency. But eventually as you advance, we can see Krishna everywhere at all times. Because of which then this kind of proper behavior in front of the deity will become proper behavior all through the day. Everywhere. It will become like that. Now there is another category of people, even when they come to temple, they do sinful activity. For example, somebody is coming to temple, even in front of the deity, some ladies are taking darshan of the deity and they are looking at the ladies. They are saying who is dressed how. So these people are lesser than Kanishta also. They are not even Kanishta. The Kanishta has fixity on the deities, has firm faith that deities are watching. Deities are watching me and Lord is the personification of love. And he is seeing and he develops some attachment to deities. But less than a Kanishta means people who don't even value the deity also, and they may do sinful activities even in temple. Some people come to become chappal chore in the temple, isn't it? Yeah. Some people loot somebody's pocket or wallet or somebody else's mobile. They steal a mobile from somebody and sell it to somebody else. You see? These are less than neophytes also. Yeah. Prabhupada says Dhruva Maharaj was a Kanishthadhikari. Prabhupada says. Because Dhruva Maharaj could not tolerate his stepmother. Isn't it? He became very envious. And his mother told him not to become envious, and she arranged to send him to forest. And he came and he practiced, and then he didn't remain a neophyte. He progressed. He advanced. How? When he saw Lord Vishnu, he became purified. When he went back, he offered namaskar to his stepmother also. All his envy evaporated over a period of time. No more envy for envy. He became Uttamadhikari eventually. So he says, actually God is in our home, street and office. So he should be worshipped everywhere by the process of devotional service at his lotus feet. And then example is given of electricity. See, if electricity is there, electricity may be there in wires, but you should know how to tap it. Right now we are enjoying the facility of these bulbs. because we know the technique of tapping electricity. Similarly, Krishna is everywhere, and you can tap him. How? Like Dhruva Maharaj went to forest, Narada Boy went to forest. They didn't go to temple. But Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, you make a murti of Krishna and go to Madhuban, Shuchi, stay in a pure place and worship the Lord with whatever paraphernalia you get in the forest. So in this way, you find that gradually one can learn to see Krishna in other places also. Like sometimes you have seen boys, when they stay in boys, they are very pure in habits and everything. When they go home, they become contaminated. Because they watch TV, they watch movie, they meet their old friends. And at home somehow their mind tells them, now I am sort of free now, I am a free bird now. That's a Kanishta tendency, you see. Whereas when one becomes Madhyama, then when one goes home, he carries some books to give to parents. He gives them mala, and he makes the parents offer the bhoga and eat only prasadam. And he stays for 3 days, 4 days, and everybody feels here is a saintly person whose association has completely transformed everybody. At home, uncle, aunt, everybody is carrying mala now, all chanting. And he influences others rather than he getting influenced by others, you see. And the third thing is Kanishadikari thinks high of himself. I told you, Atmano Bhakti Darpataha. There is a story of how sometimes you may not know the exalted preachers of Krishna consciousness, self-realized souls. They may commit offenses to them. In Sri Vaishnava line, there was a great Alvar. His name was Tirpan Alvar. This Tirpan Alvar, I think he was living in Srirangam only. He used to sit by the side of a pond where he would be having an instrument, like a veena kind of instrument. Not veena, like this people in Maharashtra also play the tanpura kind of thing. And the tanpura, it's a stringed instrument. Yeah, they sing about Panduranga, Vittala and all they sing. So he used to have an instrument with which he used to play and sing the glories of the Lord. But he was born in a very low caste. So he was not admitted into the temple. So sometimes from outside the temple he would take darshan, and so he would go to the river side and one side of a pond, and sitting there in the banks of the pond, he would be singing with great devotion, fervent devotion. There would be tears gliding down his eyes. So one day the pujari came to the pond to fetch water. So he had to cross through a particular road, to go to the pond from where they would take water for offering to deities. And Tirpan Alvar was, on that particular day, the road was a very narrow lane, and he was practically blocking the way by lying down there and singing. He was playing the instrument, and in great devotion he was singing. So the pujari used to wear every day fresh dress and putting tilakas on his body. He came and said, "Hey, get out my way." He said, "You untouchable, you are blocking my way. Get out my way. How can I take this water for service to Lord?" But Tirupanagar was so absorbed in his singing that he didn't pay any heed to the request. So then this pujari took a small stone and he threw it. And then this went and hit his forehead and started bleeding slowly. Then immediately Tirupanagar came back to his external consciousness. And he looked at the pujari and said, "Oh, sorry, I think I didn't know that I was blocking your way. I'm sorry, he said, and he moved aside to the corner. And the pujari took the water and he went. And when he went to the temple, when he tried to open the door, altar door from behind, it was not opening. Then he came to the front and tried to open. The Lord was completely blocking the door from inside. He was not opening only. And the pujari tried to open. Many people jointly tried. They couldn't open the altar. Like we opened the door in the front, He could open it. Neither back nor front, Lord was not allowing. Then he went behind and sat and absorbed in meditation. The Lord shouted at the pujari, "You foolish pujari, what a great blunder you have done to my devotee. You have hit him with a stone and he is bleeding. He is a Mahabhagavat devotee. Immediately go to the river side and you should take him on your shoulders to prove to the world that you value him as much as you value me. Because you carry me on your shoulders in a palanquin, like that you should carry him also. So when the Pujari ran to the riverside, again Tirpan Alvar was singing. And he fell at his feet and said, please come to the temple. And Tirpan said, I cannot come. How can I put my dirty feet in the temple? I am untouchable. And the Pujari immediately said, yes, that is why the Lord told me, you don't have to put your feet. You can put your feet on my shoulders. And he came and immediately lifted him up on the shoulder. And Tirpan was crying, no, leave me, he said. He said nothing doing. He put him on his shoulder and took him. And he ran to the temple. And as he approached the corridors of the temple, veranda of the temple, the Lord became so eager to meet Tirpan. Lord came out of the altar. And he came to the corridors and gave beautiful darshan with Shank, Chakra, Gada, Padma, sitting on the back of Garuda. And conch shells were blown and flowers were showering on the Lord. And the Lord was smiling beautifully. And both Tirpan Alvar as well as this Pujari, they both got darshan. And the Pujari was stunned, frozen completely. It is said when Tirpan Alvar saw the Lord like this, his whole body melted completely. His metal body melted away. And it evaporated. And with his pure soul falling at the feet of Lord Vishnu, immediately Vaikuntha airplane came and took him back home, back to Godhead, on the spot. So this happened in one of the South Indian temples. So, why I was telling you the story, sometimes great souls may externally not show their greatness. And one should not condemn them. So this is called as learning to see the essence behind externals. Seeing essence behind externals, yeah. We should not see the externals. Like first time when I went to Mayapur in 1993, I saw His Holiness Raghunath Swami Maharaj was sitting, near a pillar. And for the first time I saw one personality who was very hefty, very huge in size, carrying a stick in the hand, and surrounded by some 20-30 people. Talk, talk, talk. He was walking like this, he came like this from a distance. Generally when a person is very fat and very tall and very hefty, you imagine in your mind that he must be very proud. And you think like that. I was such a Kanishta, I also thought like that. And he came, and then he kept his stick in the side, and Ramswami was having closed eyes, and he was chanting. And then this big personality offered obeisances in front of him. And all the 30 people who were with him, they also offered obeisances, and that gave out a noise. And Ramswami opened his eyes and saw, immediately jumped up, and then he also offered obeisances. And I asked the people, who is this? They said, this is Sonas Jayapataka Swami Maharaj. They said, my Lord, I didn't know who he was. The first time I saw him. And I saw, although he is a tall personality, hefty personality, still he is bowing down, offering obeisances to one another, to Vaishnavas. Immediately my heart became surcharged with respect and love for him, automatically, when I saw that. Because sometimes, due to our neophyte tendency, we commit aparadas, not knowing the greatness of people. Like when Mukunda took Gadadhar Pandit to see Pundrika Vidyanidhi. This Pundrika Vidyanidhi had, he was sitting in a very elevated cushioned sofa. He was having a mirror in which he was watching himself. He was combing his hair. Was dressed up in a very costly dress, isn't it? So, saying all these things, Pundrika Vidyanidhi, his opulence, Gadadhar Pandit, he committed an offense. He thought that, is it a Vaishnava? How can a Vaishnava be so luxurious? So, later on, when Mukunda sang that song, Aho Bakiyam, immediately his whole outlook changed. There was a paradigm shift. Immediately. Then he decided to take initiation from him, subsequently. So, there are innumerable examples in Shastras how we should not see the externals. Avadut Brahmana was a fat Brahmana, isn't it? When Prahlad saw him in the forest, he didn't say, "Arey, lazy bum, you are eating and sleeping." He didn't say like that. What he said? "Oh, Avaduta Brahmana, you seem to be living in the forest alone with no one to offer you any facility here or anyone to offer you food or clothing or shelter. You are practically nude, lying in this forest with such a hefty body. Now I am very confident that Lord Narayana must be nourishing you, he said. And that Avadut Brahmana also talked back. He said, hey Prahalad, you are the purest of the devotees. And although I generally don't speak to anybody, because you are a pure devotee of Lord Narayana is seated in your heart, I am feeling inspired to talk to you for my own self-purification, he said. You see, Avadut Brahmana did not call Prahalad as a king. Nor did Prahalad see Avadut Brahmana as a lazy bum. None of them saw the externals. They saw the internally how they are. That's what we sing, Kintu prabhorya priya eva tasya vande guru shri charanarvindam. One should see how a Vaishnava is situated in spiritual life. One should not see the externals. Some Vaishnava may be fat, somebody may be thin, somebody कोई काला है, कोई गोरा है, कोई लंबा है, कोई चौड़ा है, कोई मोटा है, कोई छोटा है, कोई भी कैसे भी हो. However, whatever external things they may have, some Vaishnava may have a skin disease, or some Vaishnava may have some bodily limbs improperly formed. One should overlook the externals, see the essence behind externals. That is the third one. Fourth one, a Kanishtadhikari is disturbed if Madhyamadhikari criticizes the non-devotees of the Lord. Yeah. Like there was one Dr. Mahesh who was having a conversation with Prabhupada. So somebody brought a man and told Prabhupada, Prabhupada, here is a Brahmana. And then Prabhupada was saying, it is just a 5 paisa thread. To be an actual Brahmana, one should exhibit Shama, Dama, Arjavam, etc. to be called a Brahmana. You can become a Brahmana, but you have to learn from us. So Burijan Prabhu came to know that Prabhupada was supposed to speak along with the Mayavadi. This is another Dr. Mahesh. I think this was in Japan, I think. Probably. But this story is explained. You can read it from my glorious master. You will see. Sometimes when an advanced devotee speaks in a straightforward way, criticizing social welfare workers, or criticizing Mayavadis, or atheists, or modern day atheistic scientists, Kanishtadhikari becomes disturbed. You see, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that there are some people who have no faith in God and they have no morality also. But there are other people who have no faith in God but they like to follow morality. Like there was one Kairnar in Maharashtra, some politician. So he was a moralist but not a spiritualist. Only moralist, that's all. Like you see this fellow who died some months ago, what is his name? What was Jyoti Basu, isn't it? Communist, Jyoti Basu. Very strict and following principles and doing social service, communism and everything, but no faith in God, isn't it? So these are materialistic people with morality. But there are people who have faith in God and they have morality, but they put God below morality. Like Gandhi, for example. He wanted to fit God into his morality box. He tried to fit Krishna, he couldn't fit. Because Krishna is stealing butter, he's dancing with gopis. He couldn't fit, he got bewildered. Then he tried to fit Ram, he was perfectly fitting. He's Maryada Purushottam. Obedient to mother and father, isn't it? Ekapatni Vrat. Everything was matching. He said, Ram is a good God. So these are people who are moralists, but they have some little weak faith in God they have. And they fit God into their morality. And there's a third category of people who have faith in God and who have faith in morality, but these are the devotees of God, have faith in God which surpasses their morality also. Which means, Vasudeva promised Kamsa to give all the children. 7 children, 6 children he gave one after another, isn't it? 8th child, Krishna, what he did? He wanted to take the child away. So he was ready to tell lies to Kamsa to save Krishna. saving Krishna was more important than to be a moralist. That is the example. So, in this way, sometimes a devotee may criticize a mundane moral principle, or a devotee may criticize a lesser principle, and seeing that a man may become, a neophyte devotee becomes disturbed. That's the meaning of a Kanishtadhikari. Actually, that is one reason why when we are preaching to new people, we don't criticize other organizations and all. Somebody says, Prabhuji, I am going to Sai Baba organization or something, they may say. You don't suddenly say something. You may just pat on the back and say, very good, you have a spiritual inclination, so chant Hare Krishna, you will progress. You don't tell them anything. And if you say, Sai Baba, so do you think Sai Baba is God? And if you say, yes, what kind of fool you are? You say, so when you criticize another organization in front of a neophyte devotee, he gets disturbed. So you should be very careful with people. And if we are getting disturbed, that means we are also neophytes. When we hear Prabhupada criticizing scientists or atheists, we also get disturbed in our mind. That is because we identify ourselves more with those materialists than with devotees. Now, for example, there are some Kanishtadhikaris who appreciate materialistic people as better than devotees. Why? In my office, look at the colleague. He is such a smart colleague. What a fine gentleman. He speaks politely. He is well behaved. And this boy got first rank in his class. He has all good qualities, and look at this devotee. He got YD, 2 times he got YD. Year down. 2 times. And look at him, look at the dress he wears, look at the kind of his behavior. He is so slow and so lazy. So sometimes Kanishtadhikari thinks materialistic people are better than devotees. He thinks like that. But he fails to recognize that this fellow devotee may lack many material capabilities. But there is one special quality he has. What is it? Krishnaika Sharanam. He surrendered to Krishna, you see. That he is unable to see. When you become Madhyamadhikari, you will know a devotee lacking material competence. He is superior to a materialist who is very advanced in material competence. You understand, no? So, Harava Bhaktasya Kuto Mahat Guna. What good qualities can be there in a materialist who doesn't believe in Lord Hari? He says. So, in Hong Kong, a news reporter came to Prabhupada and asked, Swamiji, what is your opinion about Guru Maharaj Ji? There is one Guru Maharaj Ji in Vrindavan, you must have seen. In the entrance to Mathura Vrindavan, you will find there's a big temple which looks like the Sikhs wear the turban, like that there is a temple, a marble temple. So that is made for one Guru Maharaj Ji who lived in Vrindavan. This is a small boy actually. He must be 14 or 16 years old boy. Sometimes he gives pose keeping flute, mukut like Krishna and all. Mayavari. So in Hong Kong, a newspaper asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, what's your opinion of Guru Maharaj Ji? Prabhupada said, we don't want to talk about anybody else. We offer Krishna consciousness. If you want, you may take it. But when they were too much insisting, then Prabhupada said, your Guru Maharaj Ji is not God, he is a dog. He said, because he is claiming to be God, the real God, Krishna, will come to the cheat and to cheat the cheaters. And they wrote an article. Actually, people are looking for this kind of something sensational. As Prabhupada said, anybody who claims to be God, he is dog. Because this Guru Maharaj Ji, he claimed to be God on one hand, and he was always accompanied by 2 beautiful Matajis with him, wherever he travelled. So Prabhupada was very upset, because he is in Vrindavan, claiming to be a Vajapasi, and doing many kinds of wrong things, like this. And then newspapers were very happy, and they started publishing in paper, the Swamiji says, Guru Maharaj Ji is a dog. They publish it like that. And then after that, Burijan Prabhu, and some people asked, how can you call us dog, this and that? And then Burijan Prabhu gave a reply after asking Prabhupada how we should reply. And that powerful reply was also published in the paper. And it became ISKCON became very famous, it says, in Hong Kong. Yeah. So Prabhupada was very bold in speech. But those who are Kanishtas will not be able to digest such criticisms. You see? Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj was publishing a series of articles in Back to Godhead, a magazine, and these articles are on different demigods, And then somebody wrote a letter, Swamiji, how can you present these demigods to be subordinate to Krishna? You are offending them by publishing like this. So some opposition came. So Jayadvaita Swami gave a wonderful reply. There is a wonderful reply letter. Sometimes we will do one class on that. One full class we can have. It's a very beautiful reply he gave. So, when you tell the truth, people become offended. Yeah. Because most people like goody life, you see. Like, ये भी ठीक है, वो भी ठीक है, सब लोग ठीक हैं. किसी में दोष मत देखो, सब अच्छे हैं. रजनीश भी अच्छे हैं, ये भी अच्छे हैं, आप भी अच्छे हैं. किसी के बारे में कुछ मत बोलो. And these people, they never make any progress in spiritual life. They want a goody life. Yeah. Like, Prabhupada was criticizing about one guru, so that Kanishta fellow, he was telling, Swamiji is such a nice guru, he never speaks. He said, he only, caresses his beard, that's all. Prabhupada said, yes, that is why he doesn't speak. If he opens his mouth, everybody will come to know what he is thinking. You see? A fool is revealed when he opens his mouth. You see? And Prabhupada said, he cannot speak. Why? He doesn't study the Shastra. How will he speak? You see? Yeah. On the other hand, when a Kanishta gradually understands these things, he cannot tolerate anyone criticizing Krishna or the devotees. He cannot tolerate. And when he becomes extremely angry on those who criticize Krishna or his pure devotees, at that time he turns into a Madhyamadhikari. He says, Bhaktivinoda Saraswati says this, he says, when you reach the stage when you cannot tolerate someone criticizing Krishna, you become qualified to become Madhyamadhikari. Yeah. You see? Then only one is called the Madhyamadhikari. So, there are many people coming after going to different organizations. So many organizations are giving wishy-washy. Like Art of Living, for example, they are ready to sing any demigod's holy names, demigod songs, anywhere, any place. And there is no clear-cut goal beyond, they say just, live at the present, that's all. So there are many organizations are famous now, coming up. We should know how to gradually bring these people to Krishna consciousness. Without hurting them, because they may get hurt because they are kanishtas, neophyte nature they have. So we should be careful. Once somebody asked Jayadvaita Maharaj, I am already hearing, Asharam Bapu and all these people and all. Now I am coming to ISKCON now. Is it aparadh to my guru? Because I am chanting Hare Krishna. One boy asked. Maharaj said, you see, you go to many doctors, and the doctors may cure your disease little. But your disease may not be completely cured. But if you can get a doctor who can cure your disease completely, don't you leave one doctor and go to another doctor? If somebody is able to remove all the mala from your chitta, why can't you accept him? He said, this is one example he gave. Another example he gave, if a school has got only up to 10th standard, but then you want to do 11th standard, what do? You stay in the same school and studying 11th yourself on your own, or you go to a school having 11th, 12th. And then if you want to go for doctorate, that school also will not be enough. So it's not that you disrespect the previous teachers. You continue to respect them. But you go to school which can offer you deeper and deeper, better and better education. Isn't it? So these two examples beautifully he gave. When we talk to people, in case they ask, we can use them for convincing them. And fifth point, Kanishtadikari offends the demigods. Actually, Madhvacharya says the demigods are all devotees of Krishna. They are not inimical. So one should not criticize the demigods. They are also limbs of the body. Actually, we sometimes say we should not worship the demigods independent of Krishna. But otherwise one should learn to see the demigods in relation to Krishna and appreciate. Pujya devas tata sada. It is said the demigods are always to be offered the respect since they are devotees of the Supreme Lord. We should not become envious of demigods. He is to be considered. So like for example, I'll tell you one. Like one devotee asked Chandramalli Swami, Maharaj, I have a criticizing tendency, what I should do? So he said, you can use it against atheists and Mayavadis. He said, you cannot give up your criticizing tendency. So what do? You find fault with them. So you'll make progress. He said. But you should not criticize demigods. Sometimes a person, to prove Krishna is supreme, sometimes he offends demigods very badly. Madhvacharya has condemned it. That also actually, Madhvacharya says, Tad bhaktana upekshakaha kuryuhu krishnapi dvesham. He says that the demigods are all bhaktas of Krishna and they should be seen as such. Deva Narayanangaja. This word is used in Bhagavatam. Deva Narayana Angaja means they are all limbs of the body of Krishna. They are serving Krishna. One day I was in Calcutta. Radhanath Maharaj gave a Bhagavatam class, very strong class about Prithu and Indra. So after the class, when he came down, the Vyasas, and he was sitting down, so I was talking to him. Maharaj said, do you think I spoke very strongly against Indra? He asked. I said, no, Maharaj, you are never strong, you are always soft and all. I said. He said, no, we have to be very respectful, we have to call him Indra Prabhu. He said, because he is a chief demigod in heaven and he is presiding over the whole heaven, all demigods salute him. And Maharaj said, by some mistake, due to some material disease, if we land up in heaven instead of going back to Golok, Indra will catch you. Hey, you gave a Bhagavatam class about me and you criticized me so badly. So you will get a chastisement. So better that you are always respectful to all demigods. I was telling. Yeah. See, Jiva Goswami is saying, those who can't properly offer respect to other devotees will certainly fail to offer respect to ordinary living entities who are not even devotees. Such a person is useless for practical preaching work unless he comes to the higher platform of understanding. So it's very dangerous to engage him in preaching, he is saying. Yamcha Shraddha na Shastrava Dharana Dhyatam. Because Kanishtadikari's faith is not exactly based on scriptures, he can't understand the exalted nature of the Supreme Lord within everyone's heart. Therefore, he can't manifest love of Godhead, nor can he understand the exalted position of the devotees of the Lord. But if a Kanishtadikari continues worshipping the Lord and keeps company of, if he develops some appreciation for some devotees, he has a chance to progress. Yeah, as one comes to Madhyama platform, one is able to understand the expansions of the Lord, but Kanishtadikari's focus is limited to the deities. Here he is saying, Lord's personal form in Golak Vrindavan is called Swayam Prakash. The Lord further expands into Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Padyumna, Aniruddha, further expands to Vaibhav Prakash into this world. And all that he is saying. These kinds of expansions are unknown to the Kanishtadikari. He doesn't know that this deity is expansion of Krishna in the spiritual world. But as he advances, he comes to know these things. Which means the Kanishadhikari's understanding of deity is very, very limited. Actually, although he worships the deity, he may be seeing the object of the deity as something which can bestow some benedictions upon him. He has no spiritual understanding of the deity. That's why it is called as Jadamaya, Manomaya, Chinmaya. 3 levels. Kanishta, Madhyam, Uttamadhikaris see the deities as Jadamaya, Manomaya, Chinmaya, and 3 levels they see. Last thing, the Kanishadhikari doesn't appreciate the paraphernalia of the Lord. One of the paraphernalia is actually also devotees. Like for example, Indra was given the garland. What did he do with the garland? He gave it to the elephant, isn't it? The result? Yeah, it turned into an offense, isn't it? Yeah. So, but Prataparudra was a very advanced devotee. He took the cloth of the Lord and he worshipped it. Is it not? He worshipped it as good as the Lord. Allah Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyway, I have spoken what I wanted to speak. Most of all the important things are covered. So rising about neophyte tendency. That was the topic today. So I am speaking it as an introduction to one important topic that's coming up in future. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki. Thank you very much.